Hey everybody, I just want to do a very quick video. This is no sort of technical support, but just a visual of what user context looks like, because some people are still kind of getting caught up in phase 4, like just realizing they need to use user context, but the actual support for it is in phase 2. So I wanted to share a couple of projects that use it, and then I hope that'll move you in the right direction. I do have another video from a colleague that kind of goes through the authentication process. So the version I'm going to show with you is the one where the user context file is separated out from the app.js. I've seen people integrate it into app.js. I just want to kind of give you the overall structure. So first of all, in both of these, this other one has multiple contexts, and that's not necessary. Most phase 4 projects just use context in the user so that the user is available anywhere throughout the app. Let's start from the top. In the index.js, user context provider is what this person has named their component, and it's wrapping app, which means it's wrapping everything, which means it's available throughout the app. Everything that's exported in user context provider is available. And when state changes in the user context, it will be, there's the name user context provider. When state changes, that means that everything underneath it re-renders, as you know about React. So in this version, this person is really just, just the setter and getter, the variable that holds the state, and then the setter that, of course, when it is invoked, given a new user value, then everything re-renders and everything below it re-renders. So we've got some export here, and then let me see if I can find a file where it's being used. All right, so we have the provider that's in the index.js here wrapping around the app.js. And let me just take a quick look here. I'm going to import context I'm looking for. The nav bar. There we go. So then at some point we say, okay, we're going to import the context, which again coming out of user context. And that means that I can say, now notice that the destructuring here is not the standard square bracket array, which comes from use state, but is coming from the use user context function, which was exported in this context file, use user context. So, slightly different form, but basically what that means is that I have to pass it down as a prop, we're in the nav bar, that I have access to user and set user. And of course, those are the state variables that are, user probably has some associated information, and set user is the thing that's going to change user. So probably using that for login and log out on the nav bar. So in this other version, actually 2 context files, and the structure is a little bit different in terms of the way it looks. And I think so in this one, the app does not, the index.js does not have the user provider around it. So if we go down to app, we'll see user provider, book provider. So that means that the user provider is the parent for the book provider. The book provider is the parent for navbar, and then any of the individual pieces that show up. But notice that none of these things require props, because then user provider and book provider have all the state that I need. And at any point, if I need to know about the books, for instance, let me go to this book list component. There it is. I'm bringing in the books from book context, which again is the thing that was exported here in the provider. So, you're going to have to kind of figure out your own way through what format to use. You can just, if you go back and look at this video, you'll see that they made different choices in terms of how they called create context, how they what they exported, how they named things. But that's just, I wanted to share that with you because I think it's helpful to get a visual of it. Not something that you're sort of copying and pasting, but just trying to wrap your head around what user context is. And there's a great video by my colleague Nancy who kind of walks through one version of that. So let me know if you need that. Otherwise, I hope that was a kind of helpful visual of what that is. All right, be good, work hard.